Craigie.
Oh, wow. This is, wipe my brow here. Thank you so much, yeah, for your gift. You know, it was such a kind and thoughtful gift. And when I looked at it, I was like, I know exactly where it's gonna go. And it was just one of those, and also yesterday, or the day was such a, those ones where you've got, I thought, oh, we're gonna do a TS5 set and then we're gonna do that in the evening. Thought it'd be nice and easy. But when you actually get into the real technical of how I was gonna do it, it became like, oh my, I haven't actually really thought out how I'm gonna actually do it. Especially when you're live on Insta. It's a whole thing, but how are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad. So to fill in the viewers, I got you a pomegranate tree as just a small gift, and a kind of a birthday gift as well, because it was your birthday just this week gone. How was your birthday in lockdown?
Do you know what? It was different, obviously, because I would usually have gone for a dinner and had friends and family, and we would have enjoyed that time together. But I had a Zoom call that happened that really caught me by surprise, because Colin, my manager, who we both know, said, listen, we've got a call with the lawyer at 1 o'clock. You need to be on the call. I'm going to speak to him quickly at 1, come on at 5 past. And I was like, okay, cool. And we had a few of those over the last few weeks. So I just kind of rock up in there. Okay, I'm ready to go through the thing. I click on Fearne, and it's Colin, his family, my mum, the whole Trey, who I've done songs with in the studio, Marsha. I mean, just everyone. People working in the office. I mean, it's just everybody. It was all in one, and I was just like, wow, you caught me. And usually I'm really good with those ones.
That is so nice.
It's really, really beautiful.
You know what? I think during this strange time, small gestures, small moments are really big and really appreciated, and stuff like that goes such a long way. That's so lovely, so lovely. Craig, your official welcome to the Happy Place Virtual Festival, because it's lovely to have you here. We're doing this month-long beautiful schedule for people every day for free to tap into talks and yoga classes and meditations and workshops and all sorts of things that will hopefully provide some help and just some fun and some joy and happiness. So your time is so greatly appreciated, and I want to use it wisely. And I think what I would love to talk to you about today is positivity, because I've known you for a very long time, and you've been so consistent in your outlook on life and your optimism, no matter what you're going through. And I wonder if you think positivity is due to personality type, or if you think it's a choice.
I think we can all have positivity in our life. It's just how you reframe the situation. I felt like throughout my life, I've sort of seen positivity in different ways, and I'll sort of break it down, because there's the optimism and being the optimist in a situation and being like, okay, let's make this work. But then in the latter part of my life, and more recently, I've realized that there's times where you don't need to always try and be positive and push through the positivity in that moment, and actually to accept that this situation isn't that great right now, and this is what it is. And by the acceptance of knowing what it is, you're able to sort of ease back and you ease into the moment, because the anxiety kicks in when you're like, but I'm supposed to be positive.
Yeah.
I've got to be that guy. I'm Mr. Positive in this thing, but my circumstances are telling me this is really not positive, and there's nothing I can try and reframe this to make it right. So I've really learned a new way of looking at it. I try to reframe things that I know I've got the ability to actually make better. But I think when it comes to some situations, you have to accept it, be present, embrace what's going on, and then start the sort of 1, 2, 3 step of how can I get out of this situation to make it better, which isn't always instantly. So
that's it. It requires a lot of patience, and as you've said, acceptance. How are you in those moments? Are you good at sitting in a discomfort or the knowledge that things aren't going well?
Do you know what I used to? I think I used to say that I was going. It's great that we've got such a long rapport together. So, and you know how I love to be as positive as I can. But I think there was times where, now I know you as well as I do, and we've really connected in this way, that I would say to you, you know what, that time when I was really showing positivity, I really needed to just slow down and to actually be a bit more confident and use the power of vulnerability, which Brené Brown says so well in her stuff, that was where I needed to really just realize I needed to just accept what the situation was. And I think now that I've kind of learned that it's being able to know and adjust, because there's going to be different nuances to every time you come across a moment that you're presented with that could be someone you've known for years, and you're having to present yourself in a different way to them that come with resistance. Or you might be in a situation where, you know, I need to get out, but I can't get out of this. How can I've got to perform, and everything's like could be crashing around you, and you've got to find a way. And it's in adversity that you do find your real true character. So I guess I'm still a student at all of this. But
I mean, God, aren't we all? It's just constant learning, and it's why I'm certainly so fascinated in, you know, having these conversations and trying to learn more. And I just love hearing different people's points of view and perspective on it. And we've had loads of brilliant conversations about this because I think we're equally as intrigued. So looking back at the times you just spoke of when perhaps you were showing positivity, but you weren't necessarily feeling it, and you were resisting to perhaps acceptance or a vulnerability, what do you think was stopping you from feeling what was going on and accepting that things weren't quite right?
I think I've been very much used to characterizing myself as, and I didn't know that this was what people pleasing was. I didn't that phrase at the time, but I was very used to kind of adapting to different situations. So I could always bring the good vibe to the party. I could always adjust myself to fit into a situation. I could always be that to a certain person and be that to the other person. And they all felt very comfortable to me, that kind of chameleon ability. But then you realize that there's a point at which it's draining on you. You're thinking,
draining
beyond, and you know, and it's especially in the entertainment industry. I think there's a lot of people pleasing, because you think that if I don't please this person, this is going to have an impact on everything I do. So there's this kind of backs and forwards jostling, and you think that that's the actual way that you have to live your life. And I think we both have realized,
oh yeah,
that you can actually stand in your truth and have strong boundaries, and this doesn't work for me. And actually it ends up excelling, because it almost, the law of attraction really kicks in at that point. It's like, it's honoring your truth. Whereas when you mix messages, you get mixed messages back. So
where did that confidence come from? Because that's a huge shift for anybody to go. And I know, because I'm probably midway through it now, where previously you've been a people pleaser, or you've certainly wanted to ensure that the people around you felt happy, comfortable with you, like, you know, you were you had a positive dynamic with them. And then all of a sudden, when you realize that it's a draining process, and actually you're not being perhaps authentic or honest with yourself about how you feel, that you have to really start putting boundaries down, changing how, you know, you've had previously established dynamics with people. And that's tricky for them, because they know that you always say yes, or they know that you will always be willing to help, or whatever. You know, what gave you the confidence to start? I mean, it could be perhaps saying no, or establishing new boundaries that ensured that you could be absolutely clear with people and authentic.
Do you know what? It's still an ongoing process. Like I said, we're all students in the game, and if you say that you've mastered it, then you really haven't mastered it. You know what I mean? I think for me it was realizing that I love people feeling a good energy around me. I actually love it. I'm very empath. I'm an empath. I feel people's energy, and I feel when they need to be lifted up, and I feel when I need to give. But being empathic, you then pick up on the energy, and not only that, you take on the burden and the energy that someone might be feeling. So you're there giving all the great energy and being the good Samaritan, but come away feeling heavy and thinking, but how? And that's the part where I was questioning, why am I feeling this way? And I think that's the most important part, is how you're feeling, not to sort of intellectualize what it is or try and articulate how do I feel, and be like, I helped someone and it was a good feeling to help that person, but I feel really drained.
Yeah.
Why is this? And what I've realized is that I can still love and give as much as I can, especially for my fans. I think that's one of the things that I love so much. I go on stage and I give my heart, but to also know that if you don't have boundaries in your life, in terms of, I'll give you a good example. If you're living in your house and I'm living next door and we haven't got a fence up, Fearne, there's going to be a time where, when do I know that I'm not stepping onto your flowers in your garden and you're not coming to mine? And people never really can lay these down over the course of their life. So then what happens is that you're constantly going into boundaries that nobody really knows until you set them. And then everyone's happy. They're like, oh, well, that's my garden here.
Yes.
That's mine here. And we're cool with that. So I've had to learn how to set those. And that also means when I'm performing, when I'm out and I give my heart on stage, we're connecting, we're here together. But maybe I'm in a restaurant and I'm enjoying conversation with the people I'm with, that I have to honor that I'm enjoying the conversation that I'm in with the person, and know how to be able to give the love that I want to give, say, to a fan who comes over. I'll give love. You're going to get the selfie. You're going to get...
I've seen you in action, I know.
It's the timing of it.
Yeah.
So what I do is I just be jumping up off and going over and just getting involved in something, and I lose attention to what I was really enjoying. I wasn't really giving authentic myself over here because I was sort of jostling between it, and you leave yourself in this sort of anxious place. Whereas now I've learned that I can give everyone the vibe, but I'm going to do it on my terms, my boundaries that I've set. And it's so much easier. And I know that you have found that in your life.
Oh my God, massively. But I think it also, I don't know whether it's due to life experience or age, you know, we're the same age or whatever, but I think there's certainly a moment where you start to believe, and I'm still, again, in the process of, I haven't nailed this one, but you start to believe that you deserve it. Because for a long time I didn't. I thought I had to give everything at work and everything to everyone that I encountered and everything to my friends, my family, energetically. And again, I did not set boundaries, with disastrous outcomes at times, because, you know, people that aren't great at looking at boundaries anyway will walk straight into your life, do what they want, you know, take, beg, borrow, steal, whatever. And, you know, I think you get to a point where you realize, actually, I deserve to feel good and to be treated as I'm treating others. And that does require boundaries. And it's a liberating time, I guess, to sort of reach that point of your life where you, and as I said, I haven't nailed it. I still have days where I'm like, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve, you know, the good stuff or love or whatever. And I can be, you know, I can slip into self-loathing, but I think having the awareness that you know that you are capable of doing it is empowering.
It really is. And we've spoken about this before, in terms of, I loved seeing you step into your power, because you've always had it all the way throughout your career, and you've been building foundations and reaching wider audiences all the way across, honing your skill set. And it got to a point where our conversations were just so liberating, and I was like, wow, connected. And there's a side to you that people who know you, they'll be like, wow, that's Fearne. But then watching you and saying, there's an element that the wider audience needs to see. And when you really stepped into all of the Happy Place books, Happy Place Festival, everything you're doing now is the Fearne I've known for so long, that I'm not the true power. And it's such a beautiful thing to see, because you're honoring your truth. Everything exponentially expands. You have so many more people coming in and saying, we want to learn and understand. But also, everything you've done to get to this point was all part of the same plan. You had to... Yeah,
you just don't realize it at the time, do you?
You totally don't. I know music is part of... It's always going to be... It's my life. I resonate through music. But I also know that it's given me a foundation, a platform over 20 years now, to be able to use that and understand I have a responsibility. And if I've learned things, how can I share those things to people? So I do it through music, and I'm very choicey with the words I use and lyrics I'm now using for songs. I listen back to some songs, I'm like, okay, that was where you were then, not to judge. We moved on from that. We're not that. We need to not say that we're not going there now. We're going to go here.
That's so interesting because, you know, music can subliminally offer messaging, and also, you know, I've seen you perform live countless times, and you do just, you know, like whenever I've been to watch you do TS5 in Ibiza, which is the greatest experience, this huge pool party with just people going crazy, and it's the happiest place ever. You know, and I've been to see some people DJ or do gigs in Ibiza or wherever, and it can feel a bit edgy and like, oh my God, there might be a fight. This is just happiness and real celebration. And that's because you are out there providing that. And I love that you've said there that you're now more choosy with how you do that, because I think people probably underestimate that and think, oh, you just create music that sounds nice. But actually that for you is a real thought process and something that's really considered, because you want to, you know, make people feel nice.
You know that. So you know what? My fill up of energy is when I know I'm giving 110% on stage. And when you talk about the TS5 pool party, funny because when I speak to Andy and Stu, who've been amazing at helping me facilitate that over the last few years, who work at Ibiza Rocks, and Andy who owns it. The nuanced things that I would want to change, for most people would be like, why? Why do you need the speaker system, the speaker stack to be moved slightly a meter to the right? For me, it's because I know if I was standing over there as someone watching the show, I can't see what you're doing, Craig.
Yeah.
Therefore, that's my reasons for it. Why do you want to open out the balcony so there's more room for people to enjoy? Because I want the people to enjoy. And I know that from my perspective, I'm doing this while I'm actually real time while I'm performing. That's the crazy thing about it, is I'm singing and I'm looking, I'm thinking, do you know what? We've got to move that and change that.
That is amazing.
When the corner is not getting the vibe. And because I know that to most people, they wouldn't see those things. But it's what matters to me. And because I pride myself on wanting people to have such an amazing experience, I will go to the nth degree to make those changes, because I know that someone doesn't know how to articulate it. I'd say the speaker situation. If you're standing behind it, they won't know how to articulate that I can't quite see. And they probably just say I had a great time. It's amazing. But if it just moved one time and they came back the season after and they were standing saying, I don't know what's changed, but in the same spot.
Yeah.
That's what I know I can do if I see it through. So I guess the perfectionist in me is always looking for the best for the fan and the best for everyone else. And then because I know I can then do my thing, which is
And look, I know that, you know, you're not doing this because and I mean this in every sense of your life, whether it be in big moments like the pool party, or if it's just having a conversation with one friend or talking to your mum on the phone, that when you're giving out those, you know, that positive attitude, and you're using language that is appropriate for you to lift your spirits, lift theirs, that of course there is a good energetic return. I know you're not doing it because you're waiting for the return, like where's my good bit, where everyone's, you know, feeding back to me, but that is kind of how things work. You know, what you put out, it's obviously a very simple, you know, everybody's heard it, well rehearsed verse of, you know, you put out the good energy and it comes back to you. But I think often we forget, often we sort of underestimate that. And I'll certainly know, like if I'm in a bad mood and I'm moaning about something to Jessie, or, you know, something's going on with the kids and I'm frustrated and I don't know how to find a solution and problem solve, that you do just gain more negative momentum, and then you get more stress and negativity. And I know it's a simple, obvious thing, but I know that you sort of live and breathe that, and you feel it. It's like a very visceral experience.
Totally fun. And you know what, it's flow. It's the flow of that yin yang, the energy is in flow, is when I know they're having a good time. I'm in my flow, so then I'm getting filled up by them. I give it back out, it comes back, and it's literally the infinity symbol playing out beautifully. But life is very visceral. The thing is, like, and I call it, it's very much schoolroom earth. You know? We all came in the way I take it, we did a little high five with whoever your soulmates are and your crew. You came in, said, okay, I'll see you at this time, I'll see you there. I need you to come in at this point because I could go way off trajectory, so please enter. So you get your little team, because you know when you meet people that you know, and you're like, I know you. I know you better than some family members. You know that there's a soulmate that you come across. So I know we high-fived. I said, fine, look, do your thing. I'll meet you there. I probably won't be ready to do a happy place yet. You wouldn't, but we'll meet, and when the time's right, we'll cut it. So I think that I've sort of found that this whole journey that I'm in is that it's very visceral here. It's like you can think that you've achieved a certain like enlightenment, but we didn't come here to do that. You came here on a mission. You came here to experience what it's like to have duality, to have yin yang, to have black and white, left and right, up, down. You need to feel it. So you're always going to be tested. And I think that's the one thing I've really learned. I think both of us are learning, is that you have a family, and you're at home, and you're having to deal with being a parent, but at the same time showing your passions and your love for your career and a million other things that a lot of people probably don't know that you're actually doing behind the scenes, and putting these things together. They don't materialize out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Technicalities to it and organization, and it all has to come together. But it's a feeling that it's real, and it's going to stress, and it's going to jar you, and it's going to trigger you, and it's going to take you back to things that you never really dealt with in your childhood that are still trying to play out. And you're going to have to just adjust to those moments and be like, okay, I'm being triggered. It feels funky to me. It's the same feeling I used to feel ages ago. I thought I was past this.
Well, I hate that.
But then, you know, when you do take that breath, which is very hard because sometimes in the middle you don't take the breath. It's very short. You're not taking it. You're like, but I have come really far, and I am in a much better place, and I am moving forward. But as I said, coming to Schoolroom Earth, you're going to be tested all the way up until you cross back over.
This is it, because I think often if we've been previously in a bit of a negative headspace, or habitually we've got into bad negative habits, if you have a moment, and I do this all the time, where I go, right, I'm over this one part of my life, I'm going to really just try and think positively and be hopeful, and, you know, put good energy into that. When things don't happen quickly, it's so easy to go, oh, positivity is a load of rubbish. I'm not doing that. I'm just giving up. I can't be bothered. I'm going back to my old ways of thinking. But I think the thing I miss a lot, I misjudge, I misread, or I get wrong, is that positivity doesn't mean life without challenges. It just means that when you get through another challenge, there's another chance, another opportunity to dig deep and try again. And I wonder how much you think positivity is about discipline.
I think there's a lot of reminding yourself. I think the discipline is something that I think you have to have discipline in your life, just for anything that you put your mind. Yeah. When it comes to, like I said, it's framing positivity. It's understanding it. There's no point saying you're positive and you're feeling negative. Then it's just, you're telling a story, and people can feel it. That's the thing I've actually realized is, again, go back into the body, feel it. I'm not feeling positive. Right. Okay, cool. Then questioning what is it that I'm not feeling positive? Because, to be honest, there's times when I'm just not accepting that this is not a positive situation. If I accepted that this is not the one right now, it would just, I'd come into a natural groove of, okay. And sometimes some of the things that I've done, and I know you could, I think you relate to this, that you've pushed at a door, or something, you've done something that's not working, and you're getting really frustrated, and it feels negative. And then in hindsight, when you look back at it, what it was doing for you was presenting you such a beautiful blessing. It was putting you in a place where you needed to be. How many things have you looked back now and say, oh, I see, the 2 years that you were going through something put you there, because you were never going to get to this place. And what we get frustrated by is that it's not quick. There can be I think physical injuries and physical health are ones that kind of play out for a lot of people, that they're like, I'm so positive, and why me? And I want to go out to the world, and I want to change the world and make the better. Why have I got this ailment? Why is it happening to me? But maybe it's slowing you down to get into your body again and keep present, that actually is putting you in a blessing and with a silver lining to it, which, as painful as it is, don't get me wrong, that's what I'm saying here, it's real. When it hits you, it's hard, Fearne, you know.
Yeah.
But when you look in hindsight and you have enough of those moments of hindsight, you actually build up this, oh, actually, there's a blessing behind this, but the more I can be present and the more I don't get too mental about it and just feel where I'm at, accept that, you know what, yeah, I would like to be going out kicking a football with my friends, but the leg ain't letting me do that. So I can either be thinking about playing football and doing the thing with my friends, or I accept this is what it is. I'm gonna have to do something different here. And that might spark a bit of creativity I'm gonna start drawing then, just to do some sketches. Boom.
Yeah. Or to make you a more dynamic human, you know, to give us the opportunity to be able to be dynamic, to change, to think of things differently. And I wonder how much of that choice making comes down to intuition, because of course if we sit there and we go, right, I'm not feeling positive, I feel awful at the moment, I'm trying to be positive, I'm doing positive things, but I'm just not feeling it in my body, you then have to, I guess, tap into that intuition to go, okay, this isn't working, what do I do on a real practical level? Do I quit that job, leave that partner, get out of this friendship if there is, you know, a circumstance that is feeling like it's jarring? That often stumps me and a lot of people, I think, when you're sat with a decision and you know you've got to create change and there's fog and you really want to get to that intuition, but there's so much fog. And I wonder how you have sort of negated that over the years.
I think it's like, intuition's a beautiful thing. It's such a wonderful compass, but at the same time, it's a very quiet voice. It doesn't shout like your head does. Your head loves the familiarity. It loves routines. It loves familiarity. Let's stay there. Intuition's saying, you know, this is off. And it just says it very quietly. And it will keep saying it very quiet. You know, this is off. And then the head will kick in loud, shouting, oh, what do you mean? I've got this.
Yeah.
You know, that little game that plays out. But I guess that gets to a point where you have to pluck up the courage, because I think any change that I've made in my life, they're not always necessarily easy. They do, and what comes with them before any change is that moment where it intensifies. So it's building up. You want to leave the job that you don't like, but it's building up, and then all the fear kicks in. The head tells you a whole story about how you're going to provide for this, how you're going to have a roof over your head, how you're going to pay your bills, how you're going to do your thing. Maybe you should stick in there. Maybe the other people will change. Maybe tell you a whole thing, while the little intuition voice is saying, you need to change. You know, you need to go. Trust me, it'll be okay. You're like, not quite sure about that voice right now because I need to pay my bills right now. So you're in that, but then when you do follow your intuition, and I know it's like sort of coining a phrase, but when you do follow it, it's like you end up seeing, oh wow, my whole mirror of my life has changed. Everything I wanted to happen, somehow I am still able to pay the bills. I am still food on the table. I'm still able to function. And now I'm presented with all these beautiful new opportunities that do come. But I'll tell you right now that where sometimes I've read books and it's like, sort of just do it. Or you see affirmations where just go, quit the job, do the thing.
Yeah.
That's just being irresponsible. There's a time where you just have, it will come up and bubble up where you have to make the decision, but you just need to, it needs to be on your terms, not on a whim. I think that's.
I so agree. I've always really struggled with that we're meant to be like living life to the max and living our best life. And it's like, well, that's not always the case. Sometimes it is a step back. It is quieter. It is more introspective. And also I think it's really wonderful for everybody to kind of have a think about, myself massively included, about that quiet voice. Like you say, it's not going to be the loud, shouty, bullying voice we hear in our heads, the one that's kind of mean to us and berates us. It is the really quiet one. And I think that's so lovely for people to hear, because we try and drown that one out quite a lot, but it's there. You know, I don't think intuition is exclusive for people that have, you know, sat with Tibetan monks for years or whatever. We've all got it. It's just how much we allow the fog to roll in and how much we cloud it. And I think it's really nice to hear that it is a very quiet voice, because I think sometimes we are waiting for this like eureka moment of this is it, and now my life's going to be amazing and I'm going to change it. It's small, it's incremental, and I think it's, you know, life isn't always that sort of cinematic, wonderful movie. It can be very tiny and gradual, and I think that's a really lovely and important way of looking at life. I wonder if you would say at this stage, you know, over 2 decades into your career, having achieved things that I'm sure you could never have dreamed of, you know, when you were growing up, and had all these sorts of wishes and hopes, I wonder if you would say you're more optimistic and hopeful now, or were you back then when there was so much unknown in front of you?
I'd say I'm at this point right now in my life, I feel actually as optimistic as I was as the 14-year-old kid who was about to embark on a life-changing journey from being the kid in Southampton in his mum's like 2-bedroom flat to then embark on seeing the whole entire world, because it's gone from child not knowing what intuition is. I couldn't articulate what that was, but for me it was I guess people. I had a little balcony in my flat, and my mates would call up, "Hey, we're going out clubbing tonight. Where are we going? Where are we going? You're coming down." I said, "I need to finish the song, man. I need to finish the song." "Oh man, you're going on like you got a record deal, going on like." I'm like, "No, but I just want to finish the song." And it's like, "Oh man." And for me, the thing was, when I sing and if I go out, especially back then, because it was like smoking in the clubs and stuff, it would take me 2 minutes, speaking loud, shouting, voice is gone. And the thing that I loved so much was writing songs in my bedroom. I have a little DJ set up, which is no different than what I do for my TS5 sets.
Yeah.
Playing my tunes and writing songs. So I'm there like penning some songs, and this would happen. And then 9 times out of 10, I'd say no. I really held my ground. Intuitively, I was like, I love this music thing. The peer pressure of my friends telling me to go out, as fun as it is not the real payoff that
Yes.
So the times I would go out, we get smashed and have a few drinks, and it would all go pear-shaped, yeah. But when I honored, which was 9 times out of 10, you start finishing a song. One becomes, oh yeah, some song fill me in, cool. Then you start finishing another song, boom, some other song called 7 Days. Then you're on to next thing. And then all of a sudden, Born to Do It was created. So in hindsight, that was following my intuition. The times I said no to what looked like the fun thing to do.
So true, yeah.
Changed my life. So now a full circle, I'm in that place again where I've entered into a new place in my life. I feel like a whole new person than I have been many years ago. And I feel like the whole male, the sort of patriarchal system is the rugs being swept out. Beautiful. It so needed that. And it's gone up in the air because we've seen how it's already kind of where it's got us to. That kind of, we're just going to get through life and
yeah,
the male and strong. No, there's male and feminine energies in all of us, in women and in men.
Of course.
So to honor that now and to know that there's a new kind of man coming through, and I say it from my perspective just because that's where I'm coming from as a male. I know that new paradigm is looking for what is the new thing. What's the new kind of guy that's coming through now? Is it okay to be sensitive? Yep. Is it okay for me to talk about and have conversations about mental health? Yes. Is it okay for me to be open and to say sorry about situations and romance and love and times where I was wrong? The guy will always be like, oh, no, it was that girl's fault. She's crazy, that girl, that relationship. No, I was at fault. I wasn't ready. She wanted to commit. I told her complete story. I'm to blame. Can you do that? Have you got that kind of power? And also still cut some records with your tunes at TS5 pool party and be with it. So it's not mad sensitive where you lose your ability to balance. And I think I'd hope to be part of that whole new movement to say that there's a new kind of male coming through that can balance the energy, because now we need more of you, Fearne. We need more of you coming.
You know what? It's so great you're saying that. I just interviewed Professor Green. Spoke to Stephen a moment ago. He was in Morocco at the moment, and he said to send his love, by the way. And we had a sort of a similar slant on a part of the conversation where, you know, he's very willing to talk about anything, you know, literally anything, the toughest of times, and anxiety and depression, and you know, being a fallible human like we all are. And I think that, you know, the more conversations for women and men that we can have, and the more role models that are put out there for young girls and boys, the better. So I think it's really, really important and really lovely. And if anyone's watching this and you haven't seen the Professor Green, the Stephen chat from Morocco, do go and watch, because it's really lovely as well. Craig, I'm so grateful for your friendship always, and I can't wait to see once all this lockdown's over, and I love watching, you know, where you're taking things, and you constantly surprise me. So I'm excited to see what you do next, and where your intuition takes you, because it's always a beautiful thing. We cannot thank you enough for stopping by the virtual Happy Place Festival, and enjoy that sunshine and stay safe.
Can I just say, just before we go, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a long time coming, and I've always wanted to have this conversation with you. Thank you for what your platform gives to people. You're giving people hope. You're giving people a safe place to come to, and they are going away feeling so happy. This virtual Happy Place Festival that you curated from home is unbelievable. You always are thinking about trying to help people, and I'm just grateful for you, and it's just going to be exponential for you. You are going to change the world. I love you. You're amazing.
Oh, bless you, Craigie. You're the best. I'm going to go red. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay safe, and we will hang out soon.
Lots of love, man.